Hi, this is DeWayne. You know, as we go through this thing, my mind kind of wanders all over the place sometimes. I have to be honest. I find myself both wishing for what we had prior to all of this starting, and then also appreciating where we are. It makes me realize how much I really have liked several of the things that our church does very well. One of them is congregational singing. St. Barnabas sings very well. And I'm reminded of that as we work our way through trying to be creative and innovative and all that sort of stuff. Now, I have to say something right here. For the last several weeks, we have been incredibly blessed because George Christ has done something that, I have to be honest, I've actually tried to do and can't. We have had some music in our online services that a lot of places just simply can't accomplish. And it has been wonderful. I have nothing but respect and admiration and envy. I wish I could do it. I really do. What he has done has just been terrific. It has also reminded me, though, that one of the things I really like is our congregational singing. I really do miss it. And both this week and last week, we have had two hymns. One that's coming up this Sunday and one that we did last Sunday. They're part of my favorites. Did a little research, and I found out that the two hymns actually have one, it's an interesting little facet in common. The one for this week is Immortal Invisible. And it's page 12 in our hymnal. And it was composed roughly around 1839, 1840 by a guy named, last name Smith, who was basically a Presbyterian minister. He was a member of the Church of Scotland. They split. They had a schism. And it became the Free Church of Scotland. He studied in Aberdeen and Glasgow. It's the only hymn in our hymnal by him, as far as I can tell. And when the church split, he actually wrote the words to Immortal Invisible as a word of trying to create unity, recognition that the church was better together than apart. And, you know, if it was the Church of Scotland, then we've got a forerunner and a Presbyterian there. In fact, the Free Church of Scotland still exists today as sort of a denominational split in Scotland. Last week we sang The Church is One Foundation, and that is one of my favorite hymns of all time. I've always loved it. I love the words. They almost make me cry. They too were written because of a split. The guy that wrote it, his last name was Samuel John Stone, and he was in the Church of South Africa. And around 1860, one of their bishops went on some kind of different tear and started preaching that the Bible basically was fictitious. Yeah, I know, sounds weird, doesn't it? Anyway, he did, and it created a very divisive reaction. And John Stone wrote the words to the Church is One Foundation as his way of talking about we are better together. In fact, the fourth verse uses the words of a schism rent asunder. He actually refers to the division that was caused by this bishop, who was eventually deposed, but it took a long time. And the words of the Church as One Foundation have just meant a lot to me. Well, having said that, if you've ever been in the narthex of the church, there is a very large cross stitch there of the Apostles' Creed. It's beautiful. It was done by Gladys Hart about the time that the sanctuary actually opened up. It was just one of the gifts. I loved it from the day I first saw it. Well, several years ago, we added the addition of Providence Hall and our wonderful choir room. And I very naively went up to Gladys Hart and I said, I love what you did in the narthex, and I've got a very favorite hymn. And I know it takes a lot of time to do that. I was wondering if maybe I could hire you to make a cross stitch of one of the verses of the Church's One Foundation. And Gladys, in her own very wonderful way, reached out and put her hand on mine and said, oh, honey, you can't afford me. Well, obviously I couldn't. About 3 months later, a package showed up in the choir room, and it just said from Gladys. And if you look over my right shoulder, there is a cross stitch of the first verse of the Church as One Foundation. All I can say is, thank you.